right, look at that. We could be live on YouTube for the first time, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we usually do this over on Facebook, but there's some confusion. Now they keep changing their interface, and I just wanted to check and see what YouTube looked like here, how it worked out. Maybe people would join us. We've got 280 subscribers here. Maybe they'll check in. So this is the Jimmy Doane Show for your listening and educational pleasure. We do this live twice a week somewhere. YouTube, Twitter. Usually, well, we'll see where this ends up. Periscope, who knows. 4 o'clock, though, New York time. Look for us Wednesday and Sunday. And you can find us around the web in audio format. If you search for Doane, Jimmy, D-O-A-N-E. You can find us at Libsyn, Spotify, what's that other one? Spotify, and I always get those two confused. SoundCloud, one of my favorites. Anyway, I am in the Dystopian Studios with Dr. Doane. Today is the 6th day of September, 2020, and
Sunday.
kablamo.
Here we are. Whoa, look at that.
That's it.
That's the end of the world right there.
Well, you know, that's yesterday in Detroit is where you are,
Yeah.
I think. And
Boy, I'll tell you, that's the truth. Just quick update. Bitcoin tanked $100.
I heard it went down like 5% last week for a bit.
It did. Well, it was today it was 10,200. Yeah, last time we were on a week ago, it was 11,350 or something. So it went off $100.
That's 1,000. I mean, you know.
Yeah, 1,000, right? Yeah, something, right?
Something like that.
$1,000. So if you bought last week, you lost $1,000.
Whoops.
If you bought a coin, and the gold is right hanging in there at 1933. So we'll see. It hasn't moved hardly at all. Another number. Okay, the 180,000 COVID-19 deaths are real? Question mark. Dr. Fauci says that the fatalities are not exaggerated after the CDC, another group of people that investigate this stuff, suggested that only 9,000 people have died from coronavirus. Everything else they died from something else, you know, a comorbidity.
Well, I mean, you know how it goes.
I do, but I mean, the question we say is, if you happen to have a little coronavirus or something and you get hit by a truck, you know, and they're going to say truck. I know that. I'm being facetious.
Right. Well, I mean, look, they've obviously been hashing through this for the last few weeks online in terms of what's real. I mean, that story came out 10 days ago or something, I think. And so online, the question is, of course, like you said, if you have a comorbidity, if there's any potential confusion, then what do you attribute the death to? Do you attribute it to the liver failure, or the liver failure due to the COVID? So I'm sure that there is some level of ambiguity at the bottom level in some cases. I don't know what number of cases that they estimate they really don't know. That's when somebody dies.
They don't know, and this is what I'm saying is it's the CDC. Okay, these are not. I mean, who trusts anybody these days? But the CDC is not exactly the National Rifle Association. I mean, these are people this is Center for Disease Control, and what they say is supposed to kind of, you know, they had the guidelines for the masks.
Right.
And everything. So,
well, look, they're experts. They're top men. And we can assume for the most part that they're doing their best, I think. But I think we do have to point out a couple of things. And that is, one, there are margins of error in stuff, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
And so there may not be a way to determine what the actual cause of death was. I don't know how specific they can get with that. I can tell you that there was a report coming out of Maricopa County from somebody named Rebecca Sunshine, if you can believe that.
That sounds like a howdy doody show.
yeah. Now, they said that they had counted people with COVID that had COVID and died. And they did that.
They, quote, recovered?
Well, we don't know, so to speak.
Okay.
In other words, this, at least one report from this one named source, and again, you can't believe a damn thing you read in the news, it's anything.
That's the truth.
But she seemed to indicate that they were doing this on purpose, and she was pointing it out. She wasn't admitting it confession-wise. She was saying, yeah, that's what we do, just to make sure that we don't undercount the COVID deaths.
Okay.
Now, I've gone through the COVID deaths around the world and checked the percentages from the various countries and stuff, and not that you can compare countries very well, as we know from Scott, it's impossible, but what I was looking for was some sort of max rate. And in almost everywhere, nobody has a higher rate than basically 0.1% of 60% of their population.
Okay.
So in other words, if herd immunity is 60% and this thing kills 1 in 1,000 people that gets it, then that's the max. That's where people have maxed out. As Sweden has that number of people death. Italy, the countries where they've got the taper off at the end, that's where they all maxed out at. And the only exceptions I've found to that are New York, New Jersey.
Okay.
And maybe Massachusetts. But I'm thinking if there was going to be overcounting anywhere, that it would be places like New York and New Jersey, because my guess is, and this is just a total guess, but I would bet that they get extra cash if they get a COVID death versus if they don't get a COVID death.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. I never saw any place where that came from, but I heard people have secondhand and third-hand people have mentioned that. I have not gone back to an
Look, here's what we know. Billions and billions and billions of dollars have flowed out of Washington.
Okay.
It went somewhere. My thought is, and one of the designations was for PPE, hospitals,
right,
that kind of stuff, preparedness. And so I'm guessing that the major hospitals got big checks. And, they were told, don't worry about your emergency rooms, whatever, don't worry about your funds. Here comes some relief in the form of just cash. But you got to have COVID deaths. So, I don't know. We'll see.
I guess so. The, what the CDC,
here are the deaths. Just
you want to? Can we hold just a second?
Yeah, sure.
Let the kitty out.
I'll show these two. This is from a week ago, and then now you can see New York from a week ago only has 37 additional deaths, 36 according to this.
When are they going to? My question is, when are they going to ring the bell, the all clear signal?
Well, yeah, you keep saying that. I mean, there are more and more things like this going around which show, everybody's in the 99.9% group. Here's the protest from London last week.
Oh my God!
As you can see, it's growing. This is the one from Germany. But if as I was pointing out here, these little images to the side. This is just kind of a funny meme.
Yeah.
These images to the side have the deaths from last week and this week, and you can see that California has increased, Texas has increased, Florida has increased, and from my calculation just a minute ago, we still have some room to run in those states.
Okay.
But the other states, not so much. So, I mean, I would expect to see a big surge in California.
2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Just give it another 2. That's
2 weeks. We've been saying 2 weeks for the last 2 months.
At least.
Yeah, it's well, at any rate, what Fanucci said was that doesn't mean that someone who had hypertension, diabetes, who died of COVID, didn't die of COVID. They did, even though they had the other more comorbidity.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, silver lining, the pandemic has been good for one outfit, robots. Robots. Now that any job involving human contact is considered hazardous, demand for mechanical replacements has skyrocketed. Demand for robots that can do human chores has skyrocketed around the world. As of early July, robots of all sorts were directly involved in fighting the pandemic all over the place. According to the I love this. They have a new group of people. It's called the Robotics for Infectious Diseases. I mean, how quickly can you come up with a magazine You know, I mean, I remember when, when computers started coming out, Computer World was out there pretty quick. But I mean, now they got a group called Robotics for Infectious Diseases, an organization of researchers. And COVID-19 is driving robots into all aspects of daily life where they've never been before. But pandemic, as they said here, the pandemic will pass someday, but the robots will probably stay. And of course, this is the upheaval. Robots, I mean, once you got them there, it's not like you're going to, I mean, I suppose you could fire the robot, put him in a closet or something, gay robot, and put him in a closet, or her, as the case may be.
Yeah.
And then hire a human back. You kind of wonder, one of the things that is interesting is...
Well, you're not going to do that. I mean, that's not... People, keep projecting, oh, the robots are going to take your jobs. Yeah, they're going to take those jobs, but what's going to happen is people are going to expand their capacity using the robots. So
that's the idea, of course. Yeah, any capital investment like that is supposed to expand. Yeah, is supposed to expand your capabilities.
Right, and so I mean, well, and when you buy the robot, the concept would be, well, now I can take care of a bigger house because the robot can help me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little old lady, but I can live in a 10,000 square foot house because it sweeps up and cleans and does the dishes and collects everything, takes care of the cat, feeds the dog. I mean, it's going to do all those things, and so people will just expand their capacity is what will happen. And you'll have robots, they'll be great. And the limiting factor is coming along right now, and that is there's two things. Number one, we just played the video last week of the robot maneuverability increases. The robot that can now stand on one foot and jump back and forth.
Yeah.
Once you get a robot that can do that kind of stuff, it can move around the house better than a Roomba. I mean, right now we got Roomba. If you don't have a flat floor, the thing's going to get stuck somewhere. But once you have a robot that's got legs and it can hop around and go around stuff and around the cat and it won't squish the cat or kick over the dog food or whatever, that's going to be a total revolution. And then once you get it so that it can identify stuff in the house that's common and pick things up, for example, clean up and do dishes and collect the dishes off the table and put them in the thing. I mean, that's going to be a whole separate level of activity, and that's right around the corner. And then the big thing that is associated with that is the batteries.
Which,
if Elon, we don't have the battery capacity for that thing to walk around the house for more than a couple of minutes.
No, they can walk go a lot longer than that. What are you talking about? They're a couple of hours easy, and then it go plugs in. It's like 7 of 9. You go in the little...
Well, you say that. I don't think we've seen any videos that show them working for any more than a few minutes.
Oh, no.
Even a few minutes may be long enough at this point. But we're right on the cusp of that is what I'm saying. It won't be long now. If you're not right now, you're going to be right in a few months in terms of hours.
I'm convinced that right today, when I look at the life of different things, the batteries are really juicing things up. It depends on what the robot's going to be expected to do. And of course, one of the things you have to understand is that, when you talk about a robot that's like a human, remember the movie called Frank and the Robot or whatever it was?
I didn't see it.
Oh my God. It's one of the best movies you'll ever see.
It was supposed to be. I remember, I think I recommended it to you guys.
You did. And so to you people, if you get a chance, I don't know, it was for a while on Netflix, but it's... the famous actor.
Yeah, isn't it Frank Langella?
Yeah, Frank Langella, right. Really famous, and it's really a great flick. But that robot does all that stuff, although it's kind of like the Japanese robot in that it's a little chunky. But the deal is that one of the things you have to realize is that a lot of the robots don't look like humans. They do it there for a specific set of jobs.
It's your dishwasher is a robot.
Right. And your smart TV and all that kind of stuff,
right.
And Alexa. And oops, I probably.
Oh shit!
Yeah, if somebody's watching this, their Alexa just can't.
Shut up! Don't say it.
Okay, no, that's right. That's so. A lot of the robot. What we're seeing is the people that are being replaced. Obviously, like McDonald's, where you order now, and the robots take your money. They order. They take your money. They and they hand you your hamburger, and there's a robot back there that's doing the flipping or whatever it takes. I don't know. Or to some extent, what I'm saying is they're eliminating humans to do that stuff.
Well, you can get rid of them pretty quick in a place like McDonald's. I mean, it won't be long before those places will be entirely independent. Maybe one supervisor in there to check and make sure there's no bug on the hamburger when it gets flipped over or something.
Well, they can do that. I mean, it's, you know. So anyway, that's one of the things I like, that it is coming. That is coming. And that's what this COVID thing is. We're finding out a lot about what's essential and what isn't essential. And most especially, we're finding out in education. And that is now that they've had, like I saw that where I think it was Alabama, a couple of colleges basically saw this spike. They sent everybody home.
Yeah, we talked about that. It was Alabama. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of that. I'm hoping people will take different approaches, and then we can see different outcomes.
Right.
And
well, that's right. We got 50 states, so
right.
They can. Well, actually, we have more than that in when we talk about the school.
57, right?
Yeah, 57. Right. 57 varieties. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway. Now another scare factor on the COVID thing. The IHME, and I forget exactly who they are. They said that they predict 410,000 Americans could die by the end of the year if people don't continue to wear masks. And now of course we're coming up. Tomorrow is Labor Day, and the beaches are going to be full. And I guess we expecting another spike in 2 weeks?
Well, look, okay, first of all, what you just read was obviously an advertisement. I mean, everything I see in the news these days, I just think of every news story as an advertisement. The only question is, who is it advertising? You immediately think, well, okay, what's the opposite of this? What is the opposite of this story? Because that's probably the truth that they're trying to correct for by making this advertisement. Somebody paid for. So that's just a mask advertisement. Obviously, the places that are going to increase a lot are places like California that have been on lockdown with apparently masks and stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they're. Now, I'm not discouraging people from wearing masks. Go ahead, do it.
I am.
Do it.
Take them off.
But I think that in terms, I don't like these, obviously, the states and municipalities imposing these one-size-fits-all solutions on everybody. I don't think we're going to get 400,000. I think we're going to get 240,000. That's my calculation based on.
Somebody said now we're at 180,000 now, and I read someplace that by September 10th, which is 4 days away, they were supposed to be 200,000. I think it was by September 10th. So we're going to be close.
We'll see. Like I said, Florida, Texas, California got some room to run. No more deaths. New York, New Jersey, Boston, Massachusetts, places like that. Well, this is one thing. The University of Washington Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, they have a forecast model. They plugged it into their supercomputer. Sure. And of course this is GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. Well, yeah, as we just talked about a million times, if you don't have good givens, you can have the best computer and the best formula. Yeah. And you still get the wrong.
The thing I look around here when we went out and ate out last night at a restaurant that has the distancing business, and it's so unbelievable. You walk literally 10 steps with a mask on, and then you take it off. I mean, outside but of course then you do
science. It's pure science, right?
Yeah, there. Pure science, right? But I mean, and then you sit down and you got 4 people at the table all breathing at each other, and the wait staff comes by, and they're right there with the plates and everything, but they've got a little mask on, and it's just. So I asked the owner. I said, looks like you might be filling up here. He says, no. And this was Friday night. Yeah. And or Saturday. Was it Saturday night or Friday night or Saturday night? And he said, no, we're dying here. And of course. Yeah,
they should be. And look, it's one of the memes I played a minute ago. Everybody. There's a lot of people who are really just still scared about this whole thing. I don't know if they believe the news or what.
Well, I don't know what it is, but there are some acquaintances and friends of ours that are just petrified. I mean, they literally are not going. They are hiding out. I mean, under their bed, for God's sakes. Yeah. And I'm thinking. I mean, they just won't go anywhere. And if you want to, even if you want to do something in their house. I mean, they're just paranoid. You got to be double masked and everything. Yeah. To go just to do something real quick. If you want to pick up something at the front door, I mean, it's like, through the crack and everything. Jesus, if it's that bad.
Yeah. Well, and just think if whatever was a real killer, like a super.
Well, these guys, our local tyrants have really got the.
Well, I wanted to point that out. because you heard about our new restrictions here.
No, which ones?
Well, no groups more than 10 people to a party.
Oh, right. Oh, you have to get a permit.
Yes, and you have to register
get a
everybody's
permit
name.
and register everybody. That's right.
Your papers must be in order.
And they're going to hire a half a dozen more inspectors. These are people with a badge, and they're going to come by and say, how many people here? Let's see, do I have the list?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to actually visit the.
That's what they're hiring them for.
Well,
now you can bet on one thing. Let's say you have 10 people in your house and you get a little rowdy.
11.
Yeah. Well, and you get a little rowdy. And the neighbors call up. They're gonna. They are reinstituting the party patrol, what they call the party patrol.
Well, and that's half of why they're doing it here is because they're trying to prevent the kids from having parties.
Right. Well,
listen, all they had to do was ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's what I did. There's like seven rules, I think, are there not, for here that the university has instituted now for that sort of thing. But this a maximum of 10 people are supposed to congregate, and if you do it in a house, even a private house, you have to get a permit.
Yeah, well, that's to me, this is way.
I mean, what blows me away is that our local, commissars actually think that this is a good thing. I mean, how do they think of this stuff?
Well, I'll tell you how they think that they're doing a good job is because Alachua County numbers have been pretty good, and they've had these rules, and so they're conflating correlation with causation. They're saying we cause these good numbers here because of our strict policies.
Well, they're doubling down with this.
Well, that's right, because we want to stamp it out. I'm sure that's what they're thinking. It has to be what they're thinking. They'll probably give each other plaques.
Oh, I have
when it's
no
all
doubt
done.
about that. Oh yeah, no, I have no doubt about that. I love it here at the university.
Here's your COVID congratulations.
Oh, I'm telling you, I've been to one of these dinners as a guest one time to one of these chemical engineer or something, or all the professors and students, and there's maybe 200-300 people there, but there were plaques handed out like water. Everybody got a participation.
Hey man, we got plaque stores here. We got
that's
trophy
true. We
stores.
Do. We do.
And there's not. I got no problem with that, but it's.
Well, I can say from Rotary, I got my share of plaques, so I don't worry about that.
Well, here's what I want to say. Actually, this is a very, very serious thing that has to do with these stupid regulations about Alachua County. They are trying. This is one of the worst things that you can do for law enforcement on any level.
Right.
And that is enact a law that you do not intend to enforce. And on top of that, they are trying to, quote unquote, deputize the students into ratting on their fellow students.
Right.
They are turning this into a control issue, like a very serious rat on your friends type of issue. This is like almost like a reinstitution of the war on drugs, in terms of there are going to be people right there who who are going to be violating these rules. And your choices are going to be turn in your friends or potentially face expulsion and in some sort of conspiracy to spread the virus a charge or something. I mean, it's a very... Students are going to be faced with a very serious dilemma about crime and punishment, really before they've had a chance to consider. I mean, they're too young to know the correct answer in this case, and so it's going to be ugly, and I am very disappointed in that.
Well, not only that, there's going to be on one way or another not disregarding, but a lack of caring about the police people who show up.
That's what I'm talking about. And again, people are going to stop helping the police with this.
Not only stop helping, but the police are going to show up, and the people are going to sit there and say to the policeman, there's different kinds of policemen. Obviously, they're human also, and you say, "What are you doing here? Are you kidding me?" And the policeman say, "I'm just doing my job," or "I'll let it go this time." But the point is that you're going to lose respect.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. They blurred that line,
right?
And that's horrible for law enforcement. And what you pointed out at the beginning of that statement, which was the loss of assistance. People are going to draw lines in the sand. You're going to actually create criminals, because people are going to say to themselves, some people are going to say to themselves, you know what, I don't need a mask, there's no reason for me to do that. Therefore, ergo, the authorities are overreacting and they're being authoritarian, and they're.
Hence the name authority.
That's right, and this is bad, and it's just it divides us along law enforcement lines, and it's ugly. And
well, as you just mentioned, what's going to happen is when maybe somebody's going to have to make a choice on whether they turn somebody in or not. Number one.
That's right.
Which is the same thing. Is what always happened here in the hospitals to some extent, about the people not going in for their checkups, not going in to get their cancer treatment.
Exactly. There are going to be legitimate crimes people don't report now because of some sort of conflation with, oh, that's, it's a COVID crime. I don't want to turn my buddies in, and so he raped that girl. I don't want to turn him in for that either. And what I'm saying is that's the kind of blurriness that you can get in a kid's head. I mean, it hopefully won't get that bad, but it'll be ugly. It's bad. You should not pass laws like this that are in the gray area and then ask other people to enforce it. It's hideous.
No, that's right. You can't. Passing unenforceable laws makes disrespect paramount. That's it, and they do it all the time. Okay, now your friend Joe Rogan.
What about?
He did debuts on Spotify. He debuted.
Yeah.
With the most the thing was, a lot of the episodes were missing.
Well, and you saw which ones.
Yeah.
Well,
controversial guests. Yeah. Supposedly, but it was mostly conservatives. It was Alex Jones, David Seaman, all for 8 figures. Owen Benjamin, Milo Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, Charles Johnson, Sargon of Akkad, and then they also...
Yeah, it's all conservatives. They just...
Yeah, and
it looks
Rush,
like they just redlined...
I mean, not Rush, but let's see, who else? Rogan, Spotify... let's see, who was it? Who else was interviewed? Stefan Molyneux.
Oh.
He's been pretty much banned.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see who's getting chopped by Twitter and Facebook. And you look at this stuff, and they've made a blanket new rule, about political speech.
See, that's the problem, is that now these companies are caught in a double bind.
Yes.
Because it's, do we allow free speech and then risk getting attacked later for promoting one side or the other, or falsehoods associated with the...
But well, that's true, falsehoods. But again, I don't know for sure who is doing the business of, what do they call it? It's when somebody does to find out if it's true or not.
The fact checking?
Yeah, the fact checking and everything. What they want to do is on some places.
Anybody can appoint themselves the fact checker at this point.
I know.
And you know that Congress will have no problem doing that if they deem certain influences to have influenced the election, and then they say, well, look, it was the Russians. Oh, and by the way, they were on your platform, and so you are somehow in a conspiracy with the Russians.
Right, yeah, right.
I mean, that's that's the fear. It seems incredible, but they have literally already threatened the big guys, Facebook and Google and those people, with at least breakup or the threat of some sort of antitrust action if they quote-unquote interfere. And by interfere, they just mean allow people to post their political advertisements, which they now consider to be, like you said, false in some way. And of course,
what they've done, at least Facebook has said, we're not going to allow any of them on, because they might be misleading.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You almost can't even do that, because then somebody posts just an advertisement with just the American flag waving, and it's just oh beautiful for spacious sky, and then they say, well, that's a Trump ad.
Yeah.
Or
even if just the flag waves and Trump comes on and says, and I approve this ad. Well, there's nothing there.
Right. Yeah.
So we're taking that down.
Well, that's it. I mean, and political advertising has traditionally held the broadest. it's been held to the lowest standard of any advertisement. In regular advertisement, you can't lie. You know, you see like, oh, this product will save your life if you just eat 3 jars of it or something, right? You'll lose weight. The more you eat, the more weight you lose. You can't say stuff like that in consumer advertisement.
You can't?
No, there's actually some rules about.
Yeah, some, but there's ways around it. I mean, you look at
There are ways around it.
You know, you look at the patent medicines, the stuff that they sell in the health food stores,
Right.
and you know they make some claims about it. You know, might do this and might do that.
Well, but then they got the disclaimer at the end.
They have a disclaimer.
This
That's
product
right,
will not do anything at all. I will not help you. I will not.
That's right, little tiny print.
That's right.
Yeah, not approved.
That's right. But no, there are rules. But whatever rules there are, they do not apply to political advertisement because
Right.
people realized a long time ago that you can argue however many angels there are in the head of a pin
Right.
if you know your rhetoric.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter. You let people go, and they decide it. And this is the way the rule should be for anything. The rule should be, if you hear it, it's probably a lie. Okay?
Right.
If you see it, it's probably misleading. You have to coordinate all sorts of examples and evidence together before you try to make up your mind and cross-reference and verify and everything. But an advertisement, you just let it go. But that's how they do it for political. But I don't know how they're going to do this. In the meantime, though, Twitter and other ones, like for example, this last week they at least dinged Ann Coulter for putting out something about Kyle Rittenhouse, something positive. And Facebook said that they have deemed Kyle a mass murderer. I saw in one post, and that anything positive about him they would take down. Although I continued to see positive things. I don't know where I saw them, but people are still posting things. But it's sort of a free for all.
They're obviously, you know, if you of course they got an algorithm, but then I guess they have a human curator that you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
And let's face it, a human made the algorithm.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, the rule should be, the easy rule for everybody is the speech is free and open, okay? It's coming at you hard and fast. Don't believe it, check it. Whatever.
Yeah, as long
don't
as you
believe
don't
your
incite
fact check.
violence, I guess, but that's about the only thing.
And even that, look, here's the deal. If somebody goes to incite you to violence, don't.
Okay, yeah.
Don't get incited. And look, this is the rule, and it goes back to the stupid Oliver Wendell Holmes ruling we've talked about many times, which is the one where they started to encroach upon free speech, and his justification was, well, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater,
right?
Because we don't want people to trample everybody on the way out. Well, guess what? Americans aren't that stupid. And I've been in theaters at least 3 different times since then, coincidentally, when the fire alarm has gone off and there's been no trampling. And people wait to see the smoke.
Yeah.
You're not going to trample unless there's just an obvious fire or something.
I remember when I was living downtown at the Siegel building, that fire alarm would go off
every
3 o'clock in the morning.
It would go off.
And you'd go down, and everybody was kind of standing around in their bathrobes or whatever.
For like an hour you could hang out there.
Yeah.
And of course, what we started to do at the end was you just come out and look down and see if there's a bunch of people pointing up at you with their mouths open.
Or if there's a fire truck
oh my God.
out there.
Right. You know, if there's something like that, then you go get in the elevator.
Yeah. No, you can't do that.
Well, that's a joke. But,
so anyway, then it also turns out that Jordan Peterson's daughter has been, apparently she got dinged off of one of these things.
The lawyer for Rittenhouse, they suspended also the aunt of the woman that Jacob Blake allegedly assaulted that night, because she came out something positive for her daughter or anti-Blake, and Blake's got a CNN 60 seconds message on NBC or something right now, playing on YouTube from his hospital bed, and they banned the aunt of the woman who he allegedly raped. I mean, you know,
it's only 2 degrees of separation.
Well, and then one of the news organizers, USA Today, fact checked the rape and said it wasn't a minor. God.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
It was a full-grown woman that he allegedly raped. So.
Yeah, rape's fine as long as they're full-grown.
Apparently, according to the fact check. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the hell?
Let's see. Donald Trump mocked crazy Nancy Pelosi. because she was filmed walking around without a mask. We talked about that. Labor Day weekend gatherings spur fears of new coronavirus outbreaks. Many holiday weekend events, including Labor Day parades across the country, have been scrapped because of this. So Labor Day is not going to go. Of course, what I'm wondering about is, what about Halloween's coming up? And Thanksgiving.
Well, here we are at
Christmas.
Labor Day, and we were back there at Memorial Day talking about that.
Yeah.
I don't think we really saw a spike from Memorial Day.
I would have caught it if we did.
Well, remember, it came later than that, or earlier. It came either too early or too late, or maybe that was right on top of the beginnings of the George Floyd protests, and there was no way to tell.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out. The next thing, of course, we talked about a little bit about, this happens to be the new thing. We talked a little bit about Nancy Pelosi, you know, and what she said. I'm going to talk about that here.
Well, we didn't. She hadn't been to the salon yet when we were here last.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let me bring this up a bit. Let's see here. The first thing is that the Philadelphia mayor was shamed after eating indoors in Maryland, while his city he'd shut down his city in Philadelphia, in Philly. And another example of liberal hypocrisy. Anyway, he's being shamed by a city, and he was forced to apologize, which he did. He apologized, I'm sorry, it was a friend's restaurant, and I shouldn't have done it, and I apologized, and so forth and so on. Now, Nancy, on the other hand, came out and said, I
love this line. Yeah,
I take responsibility for this. And now Nancy, remember, went in to get her hair blow dried, or whatever it was, and they caught her on tape. I take responsibility for trusting the word of the neighborhood salon that I've been going to for many years. And when they said we're able to accommodate one person at a time and that I can set that time, I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup, and I take responsibility for falling for a setup. Okay. I'm not really taking responsibility. It was a setup.
Weakest responsibility take.
So she accused. So what happened was her daughter, apparently is an attorney, Christine Pelosi.
I take responsibility for making the right decision.
She released a letter from a law firm representing the California cosmetologist, the owner of the hair salon, who provided stylist service to the House Speaker, and in the letter, the law firm accused the salon owner of engaging in a setup. So there's part of
and that's not the salon owner. That was the actual hairdresser.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, see, because they're independent contractors out there, and they represent the hairdresser against the owner. Basically, is what they're trying to do. But look here, the big thing about all this is not the hypocrisy.
No.
The big,
that's normal.
Right. We're going to expect that. The big thing is that these two examples, and especially this letter and everything, and the confession. These are perfect examples. This is evidence that people can use in their lawsuits to reopen their businesses, because what these officials have shown is that there are less restrictive means of providing safety for these businesses than shutting them down completely.
Right.
For example, you can have one customer at a time, and then you can open back up. And that's what the salon owner was trying to say at one point. Look, if you can come, then I can have other people come in here one at a time, right? Isn't that right? And the answer is yes. Sue the city. It is not the least restrictive means for them to shut you down, even if they have a compelling purpose, which at this point, I believe you could contest that on at the front end. And those are the two prongs the government needs to shut your business down: a compelling interest and the least restrictive means. And they're certainly not meeting that second standard.
No, obviously.
Right, and this is potentially literally direct proof. If Nancy were to go against that in the vote, you could say, well, madam, didn't you find less restrictive means were, and she'd say, no, I did not.
But, wait a minute, yes you did. We have a video.
I take responsibility for not doing that.
That's right. Amazing. Now, in New York City, of course, which is pretty much shut down, Fifth Avenue is all dead, Bill de Blasio says that New York City indoor dining may not happen until June. Now, if I was a restaurant owner in New York, I mean, June?
This is what I'm saying. You guys need to sue. I don't understand why people aren't suing. You get out there and sue them for that.
It's more likely that COVID-19 will still be around at Christmas time. How are we going to explain to the kids that Santa is still allowed to come down the chimney?
He ain't.
He ain't. Well, none of that. Of course, what I talked about was also, what about Halloween? I mean, you know, the little kids.
Thanksgiving, only 10 people.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, right. We have a family. We're gonna have 10 family reunion.
Grandma, you're out this year.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know, she's at risk.
That's right. Well, everybody else, we're gonna have the kids or grandma.
Yeah.
People be making that choice. As crazy as it sounds. But.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, boy, I know some people that cross off the list. People that I don't like. Sorry, you're not invited. Oh, we would love to have you, but
ooh, we were going to have a big one this year.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. Okay, the next thing I've got here, real quick, is they've chosen the moderators for the 3 debates.
Ha!
Now the question: any debates? Do you think the debates are going
to?
No way! No
way.
chance. I'm telling you, CNN was up. CNN's been left out as a moderator. It's kind of interesting. But then the first one is Chris Wallace from Fox, and that's on September 29th. And the second debate, Steve Scully from C-SPAN on October 15th. So mark your calendar for no debate on those days.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They are going to find a way to get out of that.
Oh yeah, there's no. Well, Nancy's already started the thing, and now I've been thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself, God, how can they deal with Joe being in such bad condition? And then it dawned on me, they don't care, because he's going to step down. If he gets in, he'll be out by summer. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well,
I think he would.
Who wouldn't take that bet? I'm saying he's going to be out by the end of January.
February. Yeah. You're spending Valentine's Day in your new chateau in France.
Yeah,
turning it over to Kamala. He did that, or you can have lunch with Hillary and Kamala.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, I just, the idea, they've already chosen the moderators. They're going ahead, and I forgot, there was something else I saw where they're, I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. The Biden people have, the Biden team adds Pete Buttigieg and ex-Obama officials to the transition team. They're setting up their transition team.
Yeah.
Also named Buttigieg, a military veteran, so forth. To the advisory board, together with former
Secretary of State,
former Deputy Attorney Sally Yates and Susan Rice are going to be on the team. So I just thought it was.
Can you imagine the cabinet if he gets elected?
Oh my God!
Maxine, Attorney General Waters.
Maybe she'd make a good Supreme Court justice.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That would be. Well, I mean, you can't do any better than that. She's a person of color and
diversity, man.
Diversity,
right there.
Yeah. Now, the next thing I've got here: the California DA asked police to consider whether looters needed what they saw before filing charges.
Oh my God!
No, that's the deal. Did you need that? Well, then no charge. No charge. District Attorney in California reportedly told members of law enforcement that they should consider the needs of the looters before deciding to charge them with looting. Wait a minute. You're a looter, but we're not going to charge you with looting.
Did you guys need lead?
This Diana Becton expressed her view that officers should consider whether the target business was open or closed at the time the looting took place, and what was the manner and means by which the looters had managed to get inside.
Yeah, well, those things are already contemplated in the law. That's whether it's breaking and entering or just, that's the difference between shoplifting and burglary, basically.
Okay, so if you, now.
Guess what? There's still theft at the end of the day.
Well, not only that, of course, the question I have is if somebody else breaks the window, say, and you happen to stroll by, and you just walk in.
I thought it was open.
I thought it was open. Hell yeah.
Thought it had a clever door here.
Yeah, and I had to step over a little broken glass, but I mean, as far as I was concerned, it was open.
That's right.
And I cut myself on the glass there. I'm going to sue.
That's it. That bleeding employee there, I figured was part of the show.
That's it. So
yeah, look, it's just so dangerous. That's the people who are in any way tacitly allowing or supporting theft, This is like the police precinct burning thing. This is another hard line in the sand that you do not want to cross over, because as you know, 9/10 of our laws are there to determine property, who gets what. Theft, well, you're just throwing it all out at that point.
Well, here, it's interesting you should mention that. Writer Vicky Osterweel book. It's called In
Cheese
Defense
Wheel?
of Looting.
Uh-huh.
That's a new book. And NPR reviewed it favorably. For figures. Came out on Tuesday. Osterwell, a self-described writer, editor, and agitator who has been writing about and participating in protests for years. When she finished it back in April, she wrote that a new energy of resistance is building across the country. Now, as protests and riots continue to grip cities, she stakes out a provocative position that looting is a powerful tool to bring about real, lasting change in society.
Oh my God.
This is a book reviewed favorably, NPR. You know, this is
No.
the rioters who smash windows and take items from stores, she claims, are engaging in a powerful tactic that questions the justice of law and order and the distribution of property and wealth in an unequal society.
Pure Marxism. I mean, it's just straight out of...
but the thing that gets me about it, the only reason I found out about this ludicrous
because it
book,
was reviewed.
reviewed on NPR. Not that, I mean, we know that NPR,
Yeah.
of course, but still, even that. I don't care who you are. You know, looting, in defense of looting, I mean, in defense of murder, I mean, what are you
Yeah,
talking
exactly. Look, there were traditionally 11 crimes, basically, throughout history, okay? And theft is one of them. It's
a goddamn commandment. I'm sorry. It's a commandment.
It's a goddamn commandment.
It's a goddamn commandment. Don't take the Lord's name in vain and don't steal.
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly. It doesn't get much clearer than that.
That commandment's been around for over 2,000 years.
A couple of weeks now.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. You know, and I don't care who you are. You can.
Doesn't that mean cheese
Yes.
So
yes,
cheese and
Oster, yeah,
cheese
Oster
wheel.
Oost is cheese.
Uh-huh.
But wheel, I forget what that means. Oster wheel.
Cheese wheels, what it sounds like to me.
WEIL is not a wheel. I don't know what that is.
And
And Ooster is that Oost is cheese in Swedish, but Ooster is something
cheeses or something, right? Or,
no,
isn't that the
I don't know.
plural?
I'm gonna have to. It's been 30 years since.
Come on, man, whip it out there.
That's right. Okay, the last thing I've got is right here. Is the FAA has approved approval as the FAA is starting to approve drone deliveries for Amazon.
Yeah, well, we've been hearing about this, but
Amazon has been pushing for the use of drone packages and deliveries for years. A key approval from the Federal Aviation Administration has brought the company one step closer to making that a reality. I don't know what that was, but there's a step that's involved.
I got it. Here's what I'm going to go with here, and I think this is a marketing opportunity for an entrepreneur somewhere. Targets. I think as soon as we start seeing no. As soon as we start seeing a big, like a square or a big round target being sold, like a 6-foot target thing, and what you would do is you'd lay it out in your driveway, and that would indicate to the drone where you want it to land, and that would reduce the theoretical liability on all sides. Because you would have an indication from the consumer as to where they wanted the drone to land. So I mean, if it landed on their cat or something, you could say, well, your cat shouldn't have been on the target. That kind of a thing. I think that so in target. That's what I'm going with.
Okay. Well, the other thing you could do, as you well know, the easiest thing in the world would be to put a little blinky LED in the middle.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. The target would have little landing light, little LED.
You wouldn't even have much of it, just, I mean, you could...
It would all be for show, because the thing would know where it was going anyway. But like you said, it would know where the property is, and then it would find its little target and go right to that. And it may even be a docking port to recharge or something for the drones.
Yeah, I don't know what that. Of course, it'll be kind of interesting to see if if somebody runs out there and grabs the drone or something.
Well, like you said, then it's going to self-destruct after that.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
So, all right, okay, well, all right. I have a big thing actually this week. This is huge. And you're not going to believe where the source is. But you were absolutely right. Maybe you already know this, but they are proposing in September here, right now, a change to Schedule 1, whereby they remove marijuana
Yes.
from Schedule 1
Right.
of the FDA's banned substances. These things are no good, very bad, for nothing they are used for substances. They're taking it off. And I read through, there's actually a bill already
Yes.
making its way through the committee. I read through the text of it. It's quite sparse. Nicely so. It doesn't create.
Concise.
Well, exactly. I mean, it more or less edits the law to remove marijuana from the various places that it's outlawed in federal law. It does not, as one might expect, create a bunch of shenanigans. For example, all the laws in the various states create 6 entities who will be the distribution from seed to retail. In other words, the only thing it does, it throws out a 5% tax for the
Oh,
feds.
really?
Yep.
Okay. Gotta have the money.
Gotta have the money. But modest based relative to what they could have done.
Yeah.
You know, they could have said 50% tax and people would have said, okay, I'll go with 50%. I mean, seriously, 5% is modest. They don't create any additional entities or anything, a committee to study the shit or anything like that. They just strike it out. It looks pretty good. They're supposed to be pushing it through in September, and it comes from Jerry Nadler, if you can believe that.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow.
Humpty
Well, of course,
Dumpty.
what is going to be the explosion, obviously, is once the feds say something like that, then the banks can.
It removes liability for the banks.
Oh, wow.
So the banks can get involved on all levels,
Boy, I tell you. Yeah, no.
as
I mean,
Bill
seriously.
Murray says.
Yeah.
And-
I think we should start a bank.
I mean, seriously, it is the time. They're going to need investment. I mean, well, the big guys are going to get involved. That's the whole point. The big money is going to swoop in if this passes through and change the industry overnight-ish.
Well, it is, but you know what's interesting, as I drive around town here, I never realized this, but we've got like 20 little banquettes around town here.
Oh yeah, banquettes.
Yeah,
yeah.
what I mean, I never heard of them before. You know, this is the
Yeah,
local.
you know, Commonwealth,
well,
Commerce.
there's a bunch of them. I mean, I've been driving down, and what the heck is that?
Well, that's because the big banks all consolidated. They bought up all each one of those brick and mortars in the last 10 years. I mean, after the 2008 crisis, there was a lot of forced purchases.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is what I'm seeing around here are a lot of banks that I've never seen before, and so it's a hole in the wall. It's a bank.
I was and the sentence went comma. And what they did was they reduced afterwards. They closed a lot of those brick and mortar places, especially during the COVID thing, but even before that, and their customer service went to shit. And when you wanted to go to your national bank, your Wells Fargo, your local person, they had to make 6 phone calls to take a damn deposit. I mean, if there was a problem with the ATM, oh, sorry, we don't service that ATM that's attached to our bank. I mean, they would have to call somebody else. So that, I think, brought about the need for people to feel a little bit more, have a little bit more personal interaction with their own banker. And so you've got Joe's Bank now.
Yeah, we do.
On the corner. And so, I mean, it just, that I think was coming, because the other way, it was getting ridiculous. It was getting so where you had to call a robot and the robot would call anotother robot, you know, in order to get anything done in the banking world. And if
Well,
it wasn't
now,
something
of
that
course,
was...
with the COVID, it's really bad.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really, if you don't, and now I finally got, I mean, I got to the point where I really use the ATM for everything.
Oh, man. And digital deposits and
Well,
all
none of that, you know, it's amazing. It does an amazing job of reading the checks.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you scribble it, it figures
yeah,
it
now
out.
the one thing is, don't cross your damn signature through that little routing number, though.
Oh, no, you sign on the line. No, I understand. But it's still, it's interesting. Now, you can take a picture on your phone.
Yeah.
See, I haven't done that yet. I still go over to the...
Jeez, I've been doing that for 5 years or something.
No, not me. I still...
Oh my God, you still drive over there?
I drive... Well, yeah. Well, one of the reasons is because one of the things is that I actually get cash out at the same time.
Oh, okay, right.
And I do like
Well,
that.
you can do that. You can cash out of your phone. No.
Not,
But actually, you can in some way. I don't know how fast it is now.
well, I suppose you could put it on Apple Pay.
Right. I was going to say my bank account, my savings account, and whatever, if I want checking, directly connected to PayPal.
Yeah.
And now it takes a couple days to get money into PayPal.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that is true.
But you can
Mine
put it,
is too.
You can put it from PayPal into your bank account in like 10 seconds. At this point, mine goes in 2 seconds.
Really?
Yes. These days.
Mine. Okay. Well, that's
It's getting better, and I want to do the Venmo thing. I mean, they're going to have it real fast, so it's going to be deposit your check, Venmo. I can tell you that my Coinbase account accepts money instantly from the bank. It doesn't get the money instantly, but it accepts it as being instantly deposited.
Yeah.
It doesn't even take the money out for a couple of days, but it lets me trade on Coinbase. It lets me speculate in cryptocurrency as fast before the alcohol wears off. Is how fast.
So, right. And so the question is, how are you doing?
I've made single digits of dollars in that, and right now I'm down about $3 in my Stellar Lumens or whatever. I know, it's terrible. I was hoping to make 3 right now, but
Yeah. Right. Well,
I'm taking a hit.
Well, it is interesting because
Wild
know,
speculation.
our friend Schiff, Peter Schiff, has said it's going to blow up. He's still on these.
Yeah, well, look, anybody who loves cryptocurrency, I mean, we love cryptocurrency, but anybody who thinks, the problem with cryptocurrency, people keep missing. They don't think outside of the box. They think, oh, this cryptocurrency is limited to 21 million or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you can have another cryptocurrency. In other words, a separate Ethereum or any of them represents exactly the same sort of function as Bitcoin does these days. And the only difference...
The whole point with Bitcoin is you can buy 1/100th of a Bitcoin.
You can do that with 1/100th of a lumens or 1/100th of a
And that's what I'm saying is that because the price is up or down or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I remember when I remember what I did one time to a fella. He wanted a deposit or a gift or something, and I sent him like 1/10 of it. Back when Bitcoin was $300, I sent him 1/10 of a Bitcoin.
And one really fun thing to do is you can go online and you can create a paper wallet, and you can deposit Bitcoin into the paper wallet and then retrieve it later. And while we're at it, I'm just going to share our Bitcoin address here. If people want to donate Bitcoin to us, and in the bottom here is our Ethereum paper wallet as well, and you can generate these yourself at various places online, and you can print out a paper wallet. It's really kind of cool. You can put $50 in it or whatever and stick it in your wallet and then hand it to somebody, and
where they scan it.
Yeah, and they can take it out with their QR code. It goes right to their phone. It's really cool. So that's on its way, but people should buy their gold or get your Digix coin, DIGIX, which of course is a gold-backed, 100% gold-backed crypto, which is, in my opinion, the wave of the future. But now, speaking of money, and this is super important, did you see where the Fed came out and recognized the forward guidance on inflation was going to be recuperative? That is, it's going to compensate for inflation not reaching the target 2% in the past. So in other words, we're going to have increased inflation going forward to make up for the past lack of inflation. Now, if you think about it for 1 second, you realize, well, they can go back as far as they want, and they can try to compensate as fast as they want. In other words, they can say, well, geez, we have to have inflation of 10 or 20% right now, because for decades we've only had 1.5% and we really wanted 2%. So we got to make it up quickly. It's kind of like inflation reparation, if you will.
Yeah, I also saw something else though that said that they've got this guidance that goes out for a couple of years now. And I looked at it and I thought, boy, you talk about somebody that's dreaming. I mean, we're talking about somebody that doesn't have any idea.
Well, just look on its face. Literally the guidance is uncertainty.
Yeah.
Like here's your guidance. Don't know, you won't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Going forward. That's your guide. Whatever it is, it's going to be inflation, and it's going to be more than you expect it's going to be. And so it won't be long now that we're going to look. They're disguising the price rise, as you know, by making product size smaller. You've seen that, right?
Well, I can tell you right now, no. I went to buy pajamas.
Oh, huh.
Pajamas used to be $15-20 a set.
Uh-huh.
$60, $70, $80 a set.
Oh, geez. Well, and clothes are one of those things you can't even give away old clothes anymore.
No, I know, but I'm just telling you.
You're shopping it, man. You're shopping.
I've shopped on eBay and
Toys R Us or something.
No,
man.
no. Let me tell you, I did a complete search, and I'll tell you right now, even J.C. Penney was where I used to get this stuff's gone through the ceiling.
Even the inflation price list. I mean, going back through the last few decades has clothes at like nothing. I mean, it's like,
well, they've gone up recently. I can tell you that.
Man,
they've taken off.
I don't know, where is that? I had a great image of that. It was perfectly available until you started talking about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, clothes are one of the things, but it won't be long. You'll be going to the store. You can't even buy a 6-pack of beer. It'll be a 5-pack of beer.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
It'll be a carton of 11 eggs because it'll be too expensive to get 12.
Well, they have. It is interesting because Mrs. Jimmy, I don't know if you know this, but if you look at the egg carton, you can break them in half and get 6 eggs.
Yeah. Well, do that with a plane ticket.
No.
I'll stand for the rest of the flight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh no! I bought first half of the flight standing.
Yeah. No, it's sad that some of this stuff is really coming through, and he says he wants to do more inflation. It's sad the way those prices are going up. Whether a lot of the money went into the stock market, but even now it's dribbling out into the regular market.
It's coming. All right, you didn't want to talk about the riots at all?
Not really. I just, I can't remember anything that it was. So there was something that happened in Portland.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things here we can just touch on sort of as we let this play in the background, which is sort of compilation of some of the recent events, and that is, it appears anyway, there's been a shift a bit in the narrative. This is Portland police charging the crowd, and they give this guy the ground and pound here. I found a great Twitter guy named Steve Inman, who's really neat. He does a play-by-play of these kinds of things. He's a sports announcer, but he's out of work because obviously everybody's out of work. There's no sports things happening, so he's play-by-playing all the Antifa hits.
That's great, because you remember that guy from Australia that used to do the...
Yeah, the Aussie guy. So now we've got an American guy.
Okay. The Aussie guy would do it with the animals.
Yes, Aussie man reviews. Well, he does all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's good at it. But so is Inman. Well, look, here's the corner that they've changed here, that they've turned is really... It appears as though they have started to go after even their supporters. That is to say, this right here is them lighting a fire in Ted Wheeler's building. This is
right, yeah, the mayor. Yeah, right.
He's the mayor, and there's people. I mean, this is an occupied building. I mean, theoretically, this is attempted murder here going on. I mean, if the fire exploded, then it's a fire in a building. People die and stuff. And so I think the condo board kicked him out, or he decided to move or something.
Well, that's that's one thing that can happen. If you create a disturbance for the other people, they're going to boot you out.
Right. And I don't know that. I mean, look, I'm sure he went willingly at some point, because they were standing out there. They had basically put a concert out in front of his building and were shooting off fireworks up to the building, which is, I mean, that you're not sleeping or getting anything done. I mean, it's nothing. It's, that's, so they disturbed the people around him. In a minute, you'll see it goes to the San Jose mayor's house. And they've got a little house down there, and they go up and just spray paint it BLM, and they're standing out in front of his house. And he's also a Democratic mayor. They've obviously been to the mayor's house in Chicago and in Seattle, and So it appears, and Joe Biden here is coming out and saying, no, he says that obviously all violence should be condemned, and I guess he's not on board with this looting for need review, which is good, because damn it, I mean, people can't be. But it's not going to stop them at some point, they're going to have to go and draw a line and really arrest some people or unfortunately shoot some people like they did that guy who was the suspect in the other shooting in Portland.
Oh yeah.
You heard about that, right?
Yeah, I heard something about it.
Yeah, when the Trump supporters did the caravan through Portland, one of them got shot and killed. And there was no indication, I mean, you couldn't tell from the video what happened. It could have been a drug deal gone bad or anything. I mean, anything it could have been. Apparently now there's more evidence and it looks like he just got murdered. But they went to go arrest that guy and he came out apparently with a gun and they shot him.
Yeah, I did, yeah. I was looking at another one where they did a shooting. Did they only shot him once, did they? I
didn't hear which.
I think he might have been the one they shot once, but I know that girl that got shot up. They went around back over there because the drug dealers I forget what her name was, but she was the one.
Oh, Breonna Taylor.
That's the one, Breonna Taylor, right? And what they said was interesting because they said that the drug dealers, we don't carry cameras, but there was a policeman there that did have a body camera,
right,
on that thing. So that has now just been released, but the investigative reporter or whatever went over and filmed the whole place. And I mean, it was riddled with bullets. It looked like a war zone. There was bullets everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, what are they doing? I mean,
well, it's because there's 17 people shooting, is what it is.
But I mean, what I was looking at was where the shots landed. It was
the
everywhere.
Suspect could have been moving. You never know. And look. These are horrible. Those types of raids are horrible, ridiculous. I mean, they're terrible. Like, you have to assume that the search warrant or the arrest warrant was issued. The judge was convinced that there was a drug dealing operation going on in the house. That's what happened, and that they would be armed and lethal and ready to fight back and that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, the drug war should not even be in existence, and then we wouldn't have to deal with this kind of stuff. And that is the solution to that problem.
Right. Well, this is a case where we're just doing our job. When the SWAT teams show up, but I would think that even if they show up, there's drug dealing going on there, and so we want to no knock because they might flush it down the toilet.
Right.
Okay. So what?
So they flush it down the toilet, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that
you knock on the door and say, drug dealer. I mean, drug enforcement. Come to the door and
better flush the toilet. I don't hear the toilet flushing.
I mean, something like that. So what's the what?
Well, look, okay, and that's what we've gotten way off track in terms of using our SWAT teams for that type of stuff. The only time you want them doing a no-knock warrant is when they're busting in on a cartel of sex trafficking murderers. Basically, it's you know that they're going to try to kill you back. Now, in their defense, in the judge's defense, that drug deals going bad is basically the main source of homicide. I mean, this is
that right?
Yeah, and this is where all the violence happens, and that's why there's been an explosion of violence over the last few decades. To the extent that there has, it's in the drug wars, because people are fighting for their literal lives. I mean, if the drug guy loses the shipment, the person that he was shipping it for. They're not going to be, they're not going to be happy about it. So it's high stakes game. People lose their lives all the time in it, and that's why it just shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be at all. And you're interdicting people, free Americans who are still innocent, who have a full slate of rights. You're telling them they can't ingest something, and it's a horrible miscarriage of justice. And what we need is literally, is this coming off the Schedule 1 thing is going to be like the end of Prohibition again. I mean, it should be happy times or here again, whatever. Right here. In fact, I got one right here for us to. No, it's like seriously. That's what it should be. It should be a celebration, and not for the ability to use the substance, that's not the good thing. It's for the drain on the conflict. It's for the squelching of the interaction between the police and the citizens. That's what we want to get out of this whole legalization of marijuana thing.
Well, this unfortunately is the nun-whipper thing. There's a lot of people that have a vested monetary interest in the drug war.
I don't know that this is such a nun-whipper thing. I don't know that there's that many. I mean, look, I will say this. The cartels certainly have a vested interest. You got to know that the cartel people have got their lobbyists on full alert right now saying, God damn it, shoot this thing down in committee because we're going to lose $1 billion.
Well, the thing is, though, let's assume for the moment that they basically strike it from Schedule 1.
Right.
So that it's now legal,
Right.
basically, to do whatever you're going to do in your own home or something like that. Well, what are the SWAT teams going to be used for now? I suppose child.
Well, they'll start disbanding them. I mean, this is who you defund.
Okay.
You want to defund somebody? That's who you defund.
Yeah.
And then there's nobody that gets hurt from the defunding. There's no less protection. In fact, there's more protection in society because you don't have SWAT teams running around accidentally killing people like Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to have your investigation swirl around a cartel than it is a whole bunch of neighborhood drug dealers. And if there's some real crime going on, like organized crime is going to go on. You're going to have that because there are people who are always going to be outside of the system, who can't get back in. It's former murderers, former convicts, former rich people who band together, who are smart enough and do organized crime. But it's a small group. It's a small. You don't need to expand that into everybody's kid on the street corner selling drugs, which is what they did when they did the war on drugs. And so we could cut back on that. We could hack law enforcement down, send those people home. They can go join a mercenary group in Yemen or something.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm done.
Okay. Well, we're almost done.
Okay.
I think I think maybe have a little update, science update here. Yeah, we'll just do that. All right. Did you see where they're considering making Air Force One
hypersonic?
Exactly.
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think?
Fine. Good luck.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you got a little minor. You got an engineering problem that wouldn't happen until 15 years at least. And one of the reasons is if you look at what it took to get just supersonic in those planes, they were skinny planes. I mean, they're not exactly the luxurious plane that a 747 is. To get a plane, that's 4 yards wide in order to make sure it goes fast, shaped like a pencil instead of.
Why don't they just commandeer an old Concorde or something? Just kind of redo the Concorde.
No, the problem is the Concorde is too skinny.
Why? Oh, because
it's skinny. Let me tell you, the Concorde. You don't realize how skinny it is. You figure the number of people that travel on the President's 747. I mean, and its rooms, it's wide. The 747 is like 20, 30 feet wide. It's got rooms and everything. You would never get that on the Concorde. Literally, it's not much more.
So you give
it's
up
not
a little,
much more than that wide.
So you give up a little luxury.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing is when you realize where the Concorde goes and where the hypersonic planes go, the little minor problem is, in order to go to Moscow, in order to go to a lot of those places, you have to fly over land. And that's where you get the sonic boom. That was the whole thing one of the things that killed the Concorde was that it had to fly over water. It had to fly over water because of sonic boom.
How far? I guess it's only a few miles. There's no problem traveling that, huh?
What?
The boom from the height.
The boom, yeah, right. The boom track,
right,
is, I don't know what it is, but it's probably at least 10 miles wide. It's a cone.
Yeah.
And it's at least 10 miles wide. Well, I mean, the simple fact is that when you're landing in New York, you slow down subsonic way before you get to New York.
Right.
And London is the same way. even Paris.
I wonder.
Well, there's no sonic boom up there. You could go, and very quick, the sonic boom would happen when you're coming back down. And it would be fairly localized. I don't know if you know this, but when the space shuttle used to land here at Kennedy, we would hear the boom.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything that took the dishes off the wall.
Right.
But it was a boom, but it wasn't.
So that's what I'm talking about right now. Wouldn't it be so Donald Trump for him to get the first presidential rocket ship?
Yeah, well, of course. But, let me tell you.
Look at this thing. This doesn't even look real.
No, it doesn't. Well, the fact is that, yeah, exactly. The fact is that it's going to take them more than 4 years, I think, to put together the presidential rocket ship.
Yeah, maybe
that means anything.
Well, this is a test of that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then this, I wanted to show you guys also real quick, could be a miniature nuclear reactor.
Okay.
This could be the item that you've been this could be the droid that you've been looking for, basically, which would basically could allow the proliferation of smaller nuclear reactors on a broader scale and really.
Well, they're not for home use.
Well, not that small.
Okay.
But I would imagine city.
Yeah, city, sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So, who knows? But all right.
And they could be privately owned, too. And they could be in competition.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, all right.
Oh, is that the guy that had the Molotov? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the guy that threw the Molotov, or his buddy threw the Molotov cocktail.
Yeah.
And lit him on fire.
Uh-huh.
And he was dancing all over the place. And what did they call that? The Molotov dance? Or the...
I don't know. It's bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's bad. It won't be long before these groups start using real munitions, and then it'll end. It'll end quickly at that point. So, all right. I think that's all we got for today. Thanks everybody for joining us. Let's see if this thing, look at that, still going out right there live on the interweb. So I'll check it later. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Jimmy Doane Show. We appreciate Kevin MacLeod for giving us these tracks. And I'm Counselor Curtis, and we'll be back next time.